Hey everybody. Uh, I'm assuming that my audio is okay. I think I got my problem sorted out. When I did my first video today, I did not have my Bose noise canceling earbuds turned on, and apparently, just having them powered down is a pass through to the headset, and it's not. Uh, does not enable the microphone. And so I was running the microphone off of my laptop. No, Brandon, they do not. They do not offer. They do not offer sound protection. I mean, they mess with it a little bit. Obviously, when it's noise canceling, it makes it sound like it is quiet because somebody that's smarter about this is going to counteract me. But apparently, the noise coming in, the sound canceling, uh, fires noise in an opposite thing to cancel out, and that's why you get the effect of um, of it going quiet. But the noise is still, yeah, there you go, opposite waveform. So, but that doesn't mean that the other noise isn't there. So the harmful concussive pressure that would go into your eardrum and cause all your little hairs to fall out or whatever the fuck, the inside of your ear to go bald, which means you become deaf or something. I don't think it does. I don't think firing back noise in the opposite direction prevents that damaging effect. So that's why. So anyway, yeah, yay. Noise canceling 101 bonus content for my patrons. Anything for you guys. So yeah, the actual hearing protection, it's creating a physical barrier that prevent the sound waves from actually coming in and getting into your ear canal, either foamies, or that's why triple flange, because there's multiple shields in a triple flange earplug, and each one of them is catching sound wave to prevent it from getting to your mid or inner ear, wherever the little uh, hairs, the hairs move when the sound waves hit them, and that's what your brain processes as sound. And when you knock them over, it's like trampling on a field of grass. And when you stomp all over it, those things don't come back and grow back up. So all the footprints that you're making in that field of grass, they become permanent from knocking over your things or whatever. Sciencey stuff that I know very, very, very little about. So is silent still the best bang for your buck in your opinion? Yeah, I mean, provided that these things don't break again. I was very, very upset that the Xilinx crapped out uh, as early as they did. I have another pair that are still going, but if those things aren't going to hold up, then maybe the increased cost of the Peltor TEP 100s over the Xilinx and the slight difference in sound quality, maybe that makes it worth it to accept something that doesn't sound as crystal clear uh, in order to get wireless and better durability. I've only had one or two people complain. I think John Knipe said that he couldn't get his TEPs to hold a charge, that they started crapping out on him or whatever. But I have not had any issues with that. Anyway, we're not here to talk about hearing protection. I want to try to keep this thing around an hour or whatever. My wife had to work on a Saturday, this beautiful Saturday. Otherwise, her and I would be out doing something together. So I'm on borrowed time. When she gets home I'm going to want to get off of here so that her and I can spend some time together. Ben Lewis, I have not played with the TEP 200's Bluetooth feature to allow it to sync to your phone. I believe there's a horse collar and cable involved. So now you're back to cabling again. The cabling just doesn't go to your ears. So I've zero experience with the TEP 200. The Audi, I want to look at those. A couple of my friends have gotten their hands on those. I think Hodge has a set. My buddy Austin, Colonel retired Lynn Ashley, who's the VP of FN for government programs. All those guys have got the Audi version, which is the same thing. It's a secret container with an internal charger and some type of earbuds. I would love to do a side-by between the TEP 100 and the Audi. And I don't even know what the cost of the Audi brand. I don't even know where it's falling in there. So anyway, all right. So let's talk about gun lights, pistol lights, and you can't talk pistol lights without talking holsters and holster availability stuff. So I am a fan, if your gun supports it, of the A models of whatever. I like the A models because if I was like, fully sponsored, whatever you want to call it, from Surefire, and I could just pick up the phone and get whatever I wanted, as many as I wanted for free, I would put, a B model locked on. B model, man, the rail on this CZ is awesome. It is tight, man. I would put a B model Surefire locked on, like semi-permanently attached to, whatever, everything. But the things that I like about the A model, I've got to put my fingers over the barrel. The things I like about the A model is that for most pistols, they're not that hard to go on. So clip those things on there, and now if I'm, doing the instructor thing, I've got a single light and multiple pistols in my range bag, and then whatever I pull out, it goes on it. So I like that. I like that ability to plug and play and not have to use a screwdriver. Also, that means that I can, during a range session, pull this thing off if I see that my light's going dead. Boop, boop, put new batteries in it, and slap it back on the gun without the need of any tools. So if you've got a B model, you got to have a Leatherman somewhat. You got to have a multi-tool on your person, and it's just one extra step. What does the B model do for you? Slightly more solid lockup for most people, and the reason for that is they came up with the B model because the stupid laser, it's not stupid, but the laser on your 400 series is tied into, obviously zero retention. So they were trying to figure out on pistols that had different rail specs. There's not a whole lot of consistency across the board with pistol rails. If you guys remember back, I don't even know if they still ship it with the other adapter, but going back into our Surefire history, you will see that that says U, and I think U stands for universal. Okay, and that was your Glock. Your Glock dimensions were what the U was designed for, and then it shipped with another one of these shield looking pieces, and you'd remove these screws, and you could. This was user swappable. There was one that had a P, or P, like up on the wall there. There had a P on it. P stood for Picatinny. So handguns like your Springfield Operator, full dust cover model, whatever. Most of your 1911 add-on type rails were running a Picatinny diameter notch, and that was larger. I think. I can't remember. It's been a while. Anyway, so I remember during the X200 years and the early 300 years having to swap out that I couldn't take one that would fit on my Glock and put it onto my 1911 and back and forth again. It was not cross compatible at all. I have this thing was the first gun that I put a B on, and I got this B. Oh, they used to have cross slot too, and cross slot was my first attempt to try to get a more solid lockup. This STI dust cover, I guess that's what it's called, right? This metal part of the frame of an STI. This thing allegedly was so this thing started out as a 2011 5.0 or whatever, and back then they didn't have a rail on them. So this was not a 2011 tactical. This started out as a 2011 5.0 Eclipse or something, where it had a lot of material here, but somebody aftermarket actually had this rail put in here, and there's a single notch on it, and it is pretty freaking wide. It was not done to a regular spec. So I used to have a lot worse issues. Well, still do. So look at the amount of slop on this rail because it's out of spec. So when you look at that compared to that B model is able to tighten up and adjust to deal with that slop in there. So this is, come on, man. This is my worst pistol in terms of, look at that notch. It's pretty fucking wide, and it's angled on one side. It's not straight up and down. So that thing's like a hot dog down the hallway, man. So John Knipe had an old Surefire, like one of the first generation X300s that had a cross slot attachment instead of the U-boat's A style attachment, and he let me have that, and that was the first. Successful light mounting on that pistol. So if you need the B to lock up your gun, make it feel tighter or whatever, then use the B. But if you don't, and you borrow somebody else's A, and it clicks in and it feels really good, and you pull and it slides right off or whatever, then you have no zero associated with that flashlight. There's no projected aiming device on your X300U. So why wouldn't you want the ease of toolless battery replacement and gun-to-gun swap? So that's my pitch. That's my pitch for the A model. Another reason you might want a B model or a B model is if you are running a pistola with the glass breaking tool. So the dudes that did the XS, I think, the dudes that did the fucking Big Dot site, I believe they're the ones that got into the carbide tip glass breaking tool thing, and I think Chad Mercer had something to do with that. He was somewhere in the discussion for that shit. But as you can see, I'm hand tightening this for the sake of our discussion. So now I've got a B model on this Glock 17, right? And the light sticks out further than the gun. You've got that ring with the carbide tip on it for doing like vehicle assault shit or whatever. And you're coming in and bow, you're hitting the glass and you're cleaning that glass out so that you can get in and snatch a motherfucker out or whatever. And I don't want to talk about tactics here too much and whether that's even a viable option, hitting on a car with your gun. Because if the glass goes and you overextend, are you offering your weapon to somebody so you can fight over it? You know, there's several different camps and trains of thought there. But I would want the increased strength of the B because I'm actually using the flashlight as an impact weapon, and I'm smashing things with it. So that would be a good use for the B. The B is not perfect. The B is not perfect durability wise either, and nothing is perfect. If you abuse your gear or whatever, then you're going to sustain a break somewhere. There's a lot of little parts and screws and shit involved, and I'm going to show you guys. I had a squib that I didn't know about. I swear I did not hear a pop of the primary. It was a click, like a light strike, right? Except for it wasn't. It and the bullet went into the barrel. And I did tap, rack, boom, and blew my gun up in my hands. It had, and this is not a cheap piece of kit, it's the X300U or X400U Viz Green. So this has got, you know, the 500 lumen bulb and the Viz Green laser on it. And I just had it on my gun and it exploded. And there we go. So what damage was done to the weapon or to the thing? The gun, it was catastrophic. Split the barrel all the way down, blew the front shiny rail grabbers on a Glock on the front of the dust cover, separated from there. So my slide came up off frame, and then that seized the rear two shiny thingies that go in the rail sections, seized those up. So my gun was blowed up like this, like Pac-Man, with the barrel split and the barrel coming down, and both rounds were in the barrel. I got the concussive force of the explosion. My hands felt like somebody had beat me with a bat, but not a scratch on me. Sorry, dropping pieces. Not a scratch on me in terms of shrapnel. I received no shrapnel from the detonation of the gun, but the concussive force of the blast, knocked the light off my gun. And so I recovered the light. It's like, oh, look, my light's blowed up. I recovered the light, and the battery cover was completely gone. There was pieces of the plastic hooks that hold the battery cover on here. There was pieces of them still in there, but the battery cover was completely gone with the rocker switch. And there's a screw, obviously. There's a screw, and it had sheared off at the edge of the adjustment piece. Sorry, there it is. You can actually see it still in there. Okay, so this rail grabber, come on, gum Legos, how do we do this? There we go. So this rail grabber separated. And that allows it to come all the way off. So there you have it. That is how I blew up my expensive ass X400. Chuck, you know everybody at Surefire. Why don't you just have them send you a new mounting piece and a new battery cover? Yes, that's why I still have this broke ass piece of shit. I'm just the world's worst person about sending stuff back for RMA. I mean, I've got 2 Gen 1 RMR 06s sitting in the case, waiting to go back to Trijicon so I could have 2 new or repaired RMRs to go on my latest generation of builds, and I just can't seem to get to the mailbox on most days. So the B screw is absolutely more secure, but it is not infallible. So where does that leave us? Yeah, so I like I like Safariland's holsters because they have kind of opened up that flashlight area a little bit and given you a lot more space to fuck about. My Vampire is longer than my U-boats, so there can be some interference issues. Oh, look, I wore it in. So there are complaints on the 6350 DO models, the 50 series, that if you don't, that the ALS was not locking in on the Vampire because it was hitting your white light AD plug or whatever the hell this thing is at the bottom. So if you have a holster that just absolutely won't run with the Vampire, step one is take this damn plug out and it should probably start working. But what I learned is that if I just gingerly drop the gun back into the holster, that it might not get far enough in to have the ALS engage on the blaster. But if I took my thumb and put it behind the pistol and pushed it in and just constant pressure in, it would click and connect. Okay, this is the 6380. For those of you that don't know, the 6354 and the 6380 do not have the same ALS. If you look at how high or how far back, excuse me, the ALS locking mechanism comes on your where's my button at? Okay, when you look at how far back it comes on your DOs compared to your 80 series, it's more forgiving. They didn't want people to have random contact back here with their optics because this is not made for a specific red dot RMR versus whatever. So that's why they've gone into some stuff. And then if you look at non red dot ALS, this is for a 1911 pistol. This thing comes way stupid high or far back. So there's no way that I could take a Dremel tool and cut this out and say, oh yeah, I have a red dot holster now. Nah, it's not going to work. So this is for this is my one of my hold on for a second, guys. Let me put my phone on mute. So this holster, and this is the reason why Safariland's holster finder is so hard, is because they have a minion and they make the database only off of what the holster body says. So this says that it's for an X200, right? 1911, by the way. 1911 with X200. All right. I got your 1911, motherfucker. And let's find X300, A model. Okay. Yes, it's a little bit loose, but let's pretend for the sake of this argument that it's a B model. Ta-da! Like a glove. All right, this is one of Bill Rogers' holsters. You know, the only reason that Safariland's still doing some good 1911 stuff was because of Bill. Problem with ALS and 1911s is that you're using a downward motion with your thumb, which is also the same direction as the safety. So when I come out of this thing, the gun's on fire. So that matters for you police people. But I would probably go safety off, finger out of the trigger well, while given verbal direction anyway when using a system like this. But because of how high up this holster comes and where that screw is and all these other things, making yourself a red dot holster with the ALS platform on an ALS holster not designed for it, I would go ahead and just rate that in the realm of the impossible, because you're probably not going to do it. You're going to have to come down far enough from where the RMR sits. Look, my RMR is going to sit right where that screw is. If I Dremel out the screw, the toggle for the ALS, the entire retention mechanism is trashed. So that is why. Hold on, I'm juggling crap. Bye-bye, iron sights. Here comes something meatier. Now y'all see why I like the A better? The A more better. So now I've got a light gun with a flashlight for 1911. So I've got to go to SLS. SLS doesn't have any internal mechanism, so you're now free to go buckwald the Dremel tool. At some point, remember that the retention is on this. We're going to call it Kydex. It's probably not Kydex anymore. It's attached to that. So if you bore this thing out or cut too close to that screw hole or whatever, you could potentially be compromising your retention. So on this holster, this is my Unicorn. Oh shit! And it's got QLS, so I can put my gun belt away. Yes, I love it when a plan comes together. So you guys have seen this before. This is my Unicorn holster, Springfield Operator X400 with light. So again, goes back to that stupid holster finder database and why you're constantly searching the internet and asking buddies what the model numbers are for their thing. Because this is not a Springfield Operator, it's a Nighthawk Custom. But if you put in Nighthawk Custom or Caspian double stack or STI, if you put that in there, it's probably not going to ping this holster because this holster is named Springfield Operator. So you have to be smart enough about the dimensions of the slides and dust covers to know, okay, cool. The problem is you don't know what they've stored this under. Is it Colt? Is it Springfield? Is it Kimber? Is it SIG? What did they save this holster as when they built it? And this light bearing holster was saved under Springfield Operator and X400. So you go into the X300 or the X200 or whatever drop down menu and you click on that. As soon as you're clicking on those things that you actually have, it is dumping the database of any other combo that isn't what you put in. So you're never going to be able to find the Bill Rogers 1911 for X200 that I just showed you absolutely fucking works with a double stack STI and a U-boat. You're never going to find this holster. Safariland's holster finder is never going to show it to you. That's why a lot of people use Holster Ops, www.holsterops.com, because their query menu is better. Now, I'll tell you what they have done. They've gotten smart, and they don't post the Safariland model number when you find it in their shit, because they know, because you're paying full retail at that site. So if you've got a hookup, LEware, supply place, or whatever that can order you Safariland products, just because you find it on Holster Ops, they haven't given you the part. They haven't given you the number that you need to give to your boy down at Billy Bob's LE Supply and have that guy order you a holster. Very frustrating. Love me some Safariland. Love it to death. But they need to do a better job of cross-referencing compatibility and not just what the holster mold said. The key to going back to this model, the key to this is I have not modified it enough. Steve Fisher's holster comes down at least of another 1/8 of an inch. And by right now, my gun is bottoming out on the front side of my RMR, which allows it allows that thing to close. But look at the clearance there, almost non-existent. So if I start pulling as to counterforce against the SLS, it binds up. If the gun is pushed too far, too rear in the holster, it binds up. So I do not consider this duty ready right now. I run it like this currently in my classes, just because I haven't had time to come at this again with a Dremel with a cutting tool and give me the 1/8 inch clearance that I need to clear this back sight on this build. So the A model versus B model Vampire thing was that was sorted out on Tactics and Applications TNA Facebook chat. My boy, Mr. Jane, figured it out, I think. The original Vampire, which is what I have, and this thing is a very weak 135 lumens of white light, which is why I'm not a Vampire lover at all. The only time that I would run a Vampire is if I was planning on doing blackout. If I was going on target in the op order, hey, we're going to stay under nods for the whole clear of this objective or whatever, then I would slap on my Vampire and I would default it into IR mode and run with it. It came in an A variant, which is what I have, obviously. So that works out for that silly Blackhawk Omnivore holster that this gun will interface with the Omnivore because it's an A model even though it is a little bit longer. It'll work. But the newer version of the Vampire had 350 lumen of white light. So very, very good. Oh, look. Annika Frank says that there's a 350V version of this with the A model. That is what I will be getting. Thank you for showing me that, because this is not going to be on my gun all the time. If I don't have nods on my helmet, even if I'm doing tactical shit, all right, let's say I'm, serving warrants or whatever, and my guys have decided we're not going to run nods tonight, or we're going to wear nods during approach, but we're going to do the entire house under white. Then I'm carrying a U-boat. I am carrying a U-boat. The ability to transition from rifle to pistol under nods is not more important to me than the ability to fucking fight with my handgun in the event that my rifle goes down inside of a house. So I would want to be able to click, 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 click without using the screwdriver. So I will be hitting up my Surefire distributor and ordering that light, and this thing is going to get retired, or go on another dedicated gun, or maybe I'll clean the bezel off and use this as a helmet light on a different helmet that I have, or something like that. Okay. So I prefer A over B unless I need B, and I need B for laser retention on all my X400 series, and I need to have at least one U-boat in my stable with a B in the event that I run across out of spec janky fucking weapons attachment notches. That pretty much covers flashlights, guys. Let me go back through the comments and see what you guys got for me. Evil Tribble talking about dry firing with the Mantis, and he's right. That is one of the biggest reasons why you should have a light bearing holster for whatever your pistol is so that you can practice dry firing with the Mantis. Okay, Mantis X locks in like a Surefire does. So, but where I kind of take exception that it's not that big of a deal is that Mantis X has a screwdriver head. So if you're going to be mounting Mantis X to do dry fire and you don't want the Mantis moving and fucking up the your gyroscope data, if you want the most accurate data, you're going to have to screw this thing on anyway. So if I've got to get a Leatherman out or a flathead screwdriver or whatever to be able to do my dry fire practice, then having a B would not be a showstopper for me. I would still be able to get it on there. If you have a dedicated, if you have an X400 on your shit, I would get a different gun. I would not remove my X400 to conduct dry fire, because you should be dry firing more then you have the ability to re-zero that laser. So I would, if you're a super duper SWAT man and you carry a Glock 34 with X400, bitch, you better go get your blue label ass down there and get a Glock 34, and then have that be your Mantis gun. Get the same trigger, do all the same mods to it, whatever. Obviously my Mantis is hanging out on my on my iron sights, because I pretty much only get iron sight practice dry now. I very rarely go to the range and shoot irons during that range session or whatever. And that's just a function of, it frustrates me. It can kind of waste ammo a little bit. I'm not saying that I'm like pissing ammo away. I'm saying that I get frustrated by iron sights because they're so incredibly inferior to red dot sights that it just makes me mad. I get angry that I'm doing that act. Like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to make the internet happy? Like, what is my motivation for standing here right now and shooting this fucking gun with no red dot on it? It's stupid. But I can justify sitting on my couch and dry firing against the wall with irons, and making sure that I'm still good about focal shift and finding up those sights, really focusing on that front sight post, hard focus on that front sight, proper alignment, sight alignment, and things that I'm not doing during my live fire red dot reps, I can still accomplish by dry firing. That way, if I'm at a class and that guy is unhappy with his performance and my performance and wants to call me out on it, I can snatch some iron sights up, absolutely fucking embarrass him, and then go on with my life after he's done calling me out. So I kept an iron sight slide in my range bag at my previous place of work for just that guy. That's the only reason it was in my range bag. Like, meh, you beat me, meh, iron sights, meh, open division gun. And then it's just like, click, click, fucking bop, 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 fuck your couch, and I'm out. So my Mantis hangs out on my iron sight guns. Nick wants to know about TLR1. I've got a TLR1 HL that Blowers gave me, and that fucker's light, and it works, and it's good to go. And that's why some of these damn holsters I have. What's this one? Here we go. Here is a which I think is hilarious. Here is a holster that says Glock 3435 with Insight Technologies M3 flashlight. You guys know that the 80 series, red dot holster with Cheeto cover, this holster's like less than 3 years old, right? Who the fuck has used an Insight? First off, Insight Technologies ain't existed in a hot minute. Who's using an incandescent light bulb on their shit? It's not. But Safariland is made the dimensions of the flashlight portion of their holsters large enough that there's some variance in there. And so A model, B model, Vampire, and TLR all fit in anything that I found that's marked Insight Technologies M3 flashlight. But once again, how would you guys even find this pretty tan son of a bitch if you go in and say Glock with Surefire X, whatever? This holster's not going to show up. It's not going to show up because the holster finder menu has this thing tucked away under Insight M3. Wah wah wah. So yeah, I can run the TLR. I've got one. I have no problems with it. For me, that was a really good nightstand gun because at the time the Surefires were only pushing 500 lumen on the pistol light, and that was 800, and it had a wider spill, and so that was a really good nightstand gun for me because I knew that if I grabbed that bitch, it had a nice good toggle. I was going to be able to find it with my trigger finger and get after it. No, I did not Sharpie a frowny face on the STI. When I turn my head, the mic is touching something. I'm going to use this stupid clip thing, but I don't know that that's going to accomplish much. My awesome PNS, the damn name of this computer, Razer. I have a Razer mic, big mic with the Lisp spit shield on it or whatever that looks like pantyhose on an articulating arm and all that crap. But it's back at my safe house on the East Coast. I never relocated it over here. One of these trips back, I need to throw that boom arm in my bag and relocate my good microphone over here. I've been waiting until I get my office set up. So all of these shenanigans right now, this is all on my dining room table, which, you know, makes my wife exceedingly happy. Not really. So once I get my desk and monitors and all that shit set up, I'll have my mic over there, and I'll be doing all my future videos from over in my office. Firearms Rack is asking why the 6354 DO will not fit a 19X or other Gen 5 guns. First I've heard of it. I've got one 19X and one Gen 5 MOS 34. And they're both sitting at Overwatch Precision getting fucking drilled and hacked on and stippled and whatever. So whenever I get my grip of Glocks from Overwatch, I'll be able to tell you about some Gen 5 fucking shit. I don't know what, but the 6354, I just don't think it's as good of a, I don't think it's as versatile of a holster as the 80 series. So the 54 is double screw and the 80 series is single screw. And somebody recently showed a picture of this 80 series breaking. That's the first that I had heard of it. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they thought that that was excessive, that that was too much retention or whatever. I don't know. But I have been quite happy with my 80 series. And I like having the dot cover. I think that the dot cover is really good for keeping debris out of your lens. I know that arguments have been made. Guys have gone to vehicle CQB and rolled around, and this thing's closed. And then when they try to holster their pistol, they can't. So they've got to figure out some way to hit this and open this and do whatever. My response to that is holstering your pistol is an administrative action. So in the conduct of drills, if somebody is trying to make you throw your blaster away and get your rifle back up in an extremely fast manner, you have to question in what tactical situation would you want to do that. Do you need to reholster your pistol? Yeah, I want to get my rifle back into the fight for sure. But I am not within a second of dying, or else I would have never put the pistol away. So, where's my Glock at? Activate. Oh, that's iron sights. Bad example. Oh. Yep. There we go. So you should have enough slop in there that you can depress the ALS button, work the light in under the hood, and then back, even with it in the closed position. If I ain't got time for all that because I'm on a graded drill or whatever, if this thing's securely holstered, come in. What's the fucking problem? It gets broke off in a fight. Oh, okay. It got broke off in a fight. How many times do you get out of your patrol car in the rain and get your red dot rained on before you get to a fight? For this, it's all of them. For this, it's none of them until it got broke off in a fight. So for every time you are standing in a front yard fucking talking to some motherfucker during a domestic, taking a complaint, whatever, in a light drizzle, or writing paper, or whatever, that does not involve gunfighting, then your shit's protected. I don't get it. I don't. Maybe I've been away from duty too long that I'm not picking up the arguments of why that struggle is real. But so you're not saying that it actually doesn't work, Firearms Rack. You're saying that's what Holster Ops is saying. It's possible that Holster Ops has just not updated their database to account for the new cross compatibility of items. Not that it will actually not work. Or maybe they have a disclaimer saying, warning, the 19X will not fucking work. I don't know. I ain't been on Holster Ops in a while. I'll worry about Gen 5 holsters when I have a Gen 5 gun. What is my minimum white light lumen count? Well, I try to keep it up as high as possible. That's why I'm not a fan of the Vampire anything, especially rifle lights. If you are running a Vampire rifle light, I just got to ask, like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, maybe if you're poor and you've got a CQBL and that Vampire is your only illumination for the near IR spectrum, but in that environment, in that using that gun setup, what the situation you've created is that you're underpowered in the near IR spectrum and you're underpowered in the white visual spectrum. So that's a non-starter. There's nobody that's a real gunfighter that gets a go at fucking gun Legos. So we could take naval special warfare out of that. Nobody that gets a go at the gun Legos station that really shoots people under night vision uses the Vampire light, rifle light. None, because you're giving too much up in the visual spectrum. The V pistol light, on the other hand, I used to also think was a dumb idea, but I started doing more and more and more shooting under nods where I needed to be able to throw photons out there to adjust the picture so that I had a usable information to make a firing solution. I needed better contrast to the edges of my target so I could accept the wobble zone, or my dot was bloomed out because of how dark it was or whatever, and I needed to kick that thing on in order to readjust my nods photon input so that the dot was not providing the highest number of photons into the micro channel plate. So for a dedicated, like, if I'm carrying a rifle that has an EOTech on it instead of a 1-6, then I'm probably going to have a pistol that has a Vampire on it, not a U-boat. And I mean, as you can see, I've got 150, and I hate it. I hate it. Every time I turn it on, I was like, man, the batteries must be dead on this thing. And I go put fresh batteries in it every time I take it to the range. Because when I turn it on white light, it is such a disappointment. It is so disappointing to me every time I use that Vampire light. I had no idea that I had a 150, 125 lumen instead of a 300. For right now, with just everything, like I wouldn't want anything under 500. I have one of the original Charlie rifle lights. I put it on a LaRue Stealth that had a full length rail and all pick and heavy stainless steel barrel, and that was like my original SPR, if you will. I was trying to cut weight, so I put an original C on it, and it's actually one of the rifles that occupies a corner of my house somewhere, and that was my wife's go-to house gun, and it had a ACOG with a doctor on it, and that thing's got an original 300C. Very, 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 very anemic. The new 300s, 300Cs are 500. So now you can get a single cell that has the same output as the last generation of full size lights. So I would take 500. I would take 500, but you have to understand my context compared to like Fisher. Steve is teaching an intermediate, not level, but distance, an intermediate carbine course, which means that everything that they shoot during the day, they are going to shoot at night. And so when you're talking about shooting around a VTAC barricade or through a VTAC barricade at steel that's, 100 yards away or more, uh, it really starts to cut into your ability to make decisions and to throw light out there or whatever. So I would say probably uh, if you're a white any primary white light job you're doing, you need a minimum of 500 on a handgun, and I would go higher than that. I would go 600 plus on a rifle. Uh, if you are primarily uh, blacked out, then having a rifle in case you have to transition to, or a white light in case you have to transition up from nods, you could maybe get away with a 300C 500 lumen on your nighttime assault gun, and maybe you can get away with 350 lumens on your pistol if you have a vampire that you need to switch over to white. Your nods get smashed off. Somebody flips floodlights on, and just fighting under nods becomes stupid at that point. And you've got to take that bezel and rotate it from IR to white. I'd say 350 probably is going to be the minimum. Your boy AT. Man, I've got some allergies going on. I've never mounted a mantis anywhere other than on the rail. But I would concur with what's being said. If there's any movement, I mean, this you're trying to get this thing to look at, you know, hundredths of ounces of pressure applied by your trigger finger at the point of detonation. I don't need the side to side tolerances of a Magpul mag in a Glock, training mag in a Glock with a mantis attached to it. I don't need Mantis telling me that I can't shoot, because I'll get frustrated and tell Mantis to eat a bag of dicks. Yes, Landfair, Cheeto Guard. It's a hat tip to you patrol officers, the officers of patrol, the real last line of defense. I'm not getting a gaming computer, Landfair. I may do a tower at my office, maybe, but that's not going to be for a little while. Oh yeah, you guys. Hey, you guys get to hear it here first. I was unable to execute my panoramic night vision goggle purchase prior to the first of the year, and this is a tax thing. So instead, I'm taking all the money that I was going to spend on my ground panoramic night vision goggles, and I'm doing my Forerunner build out. So I've been going back and forth with the local outfitter shop, Mule Outfitters, getting estimates and kind of shopping around, deciding what I'm going to do. I've got my suspension figured out. I've got my light package figured out for the most part. I've got my roof rack figured out. I'm going to do a front bumper upgrade, and I don't think I have enough money in the build yet to add my rear bumper onto that. I've got to do some more research about extended trailer hitching and the base camp trailer. I'm concerned. I think if I go double swing out, I can make it, but I'm concerned about the double propane tank holder that sits on the tongue of the Airstream. I'm worried about clearance issues because depending on how I park, my 4Runner tailgate will not even go up. It makes contact with the Airstream propane storage unit. So that thing's pretty close. So I'm looking at if I add a multi-directional articulating toe mount and replace the standard hitch, I've heard that's going to add about 3 inches. And then if I get an extended bar, can the combo of those two things together allow me to get a double swing arm on the rear bumper? So rear bumper is going to come later, and replacement tires are going to come later. But yeah, full on build. Oh, and then there's some internal stuff as far as lighting solutions inside of the vehicle. Also looking at getting a 360 bird's eye camera system installed to help me. I've got really, really dark tint on the 4Runner, and I need a camera system to assist me in backing up that thing both with and without the trailer. So, yay! Overland 4Runner build videos to follow. That the build will actually happen probably maybe the week of shot, so I can drop it off. They can have it for a week or whatever. Most of these places have a lead time on parts where it's a 6 to 8 week wait for the parts to arrive. But I should be pulling trigger. I've got to commit the money before the 1st of January. So, and actually, before I head out to Reston's class on the, I'm flying to North Carolina on the 12th, and then driving down with one of my AIs on the 13th for that class that starts on the 14th. So, prior to me leaving on the 12th, I will have locked in what I want for the round one of the 4Runner build out, and committed the cash to buy the parts, and then the build will happen later on. Luke Gordon, Gen 534, sitting in a 2017 built 6354 DO right now. Yeah. I got what you're saying, Luke. So for when this thing plays back, you might not have access to the comments section. So, like I was saying on my SLS, when the RMR went in, it was hitting on here, which wasn't letting it go down far enough. Luke was saying that on the Gen 5 gun, he needed to remove some, not the hood. We're talking about the actual holster body here. Just above the ALS mechanism, he's got to remove a little bit of material in here that gets that thing down the cunt hair that it needs to be able to lock in the ALS retention. Raj, am I good? Am I good? Boop, 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 boop. Uh, when I selected the 300B on the Roland, it was it lumens or the mounting system? Man, you make this shit sound like it's the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Dude, hold on for a second. See that? That is my life on any given day. And if I'm running out the door or doing whatever, then I just kind of grab gadgets and just kind of put shit together, whatever. It's possible that might be the first, that the B model might have been the first 500 lumen that I got, and all my other X300s were older than that. But maybe one of my boys hooked me up or something like that, and it was the only 500. So at that point, I don't really give a shit about what the attachment system is. And if you had asked me when I was carrying my Roland all the time, right after I built it years ago or whatever, did you have an A or a B model on there? I would not have been able to answer you. I don't know. I don't know. I am not, that was not like a specced out system of whatever. It is whatever suited my fancy and I had available at the time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If I had wanted to, use the Roland for a duty pistol instead of a concealed carry gun, it would have had a big ass like ICE or ALG Magwell or something on it. I would have figured out a way to get a aftermarket Magwell on that Gen 319 and made it happen. And I was consulting for Raven, off and on. So, the Freya, again, out of necessity, not out of preference necessarily. Landfair says the gaming PC is going to be better for editing videos. Yeah, if I fucking knew how to edit videos, but I don't know how to edit no videos. I got an idea. Turn it on, and let it fly. Performance on demand. Yeah, Luke confirmed that that the area that I was pointing to with the head of the screwdriver is what needs material, and he says it's not even Dremel worthy. You can actually just kind of shave a little bit of plastic off with a knife, and you're good. So you can even do it without power tools. Yay! Modification without power tools. Of course, some of y'all are gonna pull out some super sharp ass shit. You're gonna make a divot down instead of shaving. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to come at it in a different angle, harder with more pressure, and you're going to slip that sharp knife and cut yourself. Brad T's like, I miss the days when I had the money to throw guns in a pile. Bro, I want you to look at this fucking dude. Look at the rust on that gas pedal and that Vickers slide stop. It's insane. That is. Oh, I'm sorry. And the rust is all over the Rust is all over the front sight also. Whatever. It's a Glock. I don't get emotional about it. I don't get emotional about it. This thing's a fucking hammer. It's a hammer. Just beat on it. Beat people with it. Whatever. If it was a real gun, I would be more concerned that it was rusting. That is one of my compromises that I'm making with Joe Chambers from Chambers Custom about the Night Fighter. Is Joe hates working with any type of coatings because he said that that's where a lot of the custom 1911 shops that can't properly fit a gun is they just coat the shit out of them and then put them together, and the feel is real tight, but then as you fire and use the gun, it wears those coatings down, and now your tolerances are fucked. So when you're talking about precise tolerances, it is very hard to cut hundreds, thousandths of material. It's very difficult to work with Duracoat, Cerakote, some of these other coatings. So he came at me with bluing. I was like, no, we can't. I don't think we can do that. I'm billing this as a duty gun. I said, have you seen my duty guns, dude? A pistol. You hand me a gun. Fuck saltwater spray testing for the Navy SEALs. Hand me a pistol and let me dry fire it. There's something about the pH in my hands that is corrosive to metal firearms. And I can dry fire a gun for 45 minutes, put it away, and when I pull it out the next day, it'll be covered in rust. So a blued gun that is all like rusted out and stuff, it's not gonna work. So we are going back and forth about coatings to ensure that it has the duty grade resistance to the elements that I would require of a duty pistol, because I'm putting my name on this thing, yet is able to be worked on at that precision level that this craftsman demands. That he demands. And I'm not just saying somebody's like, yeah, Cerakote sucks, but I'm talking about all them coatings. Armor Tough, all of that shit. Whatever the fuck this is on, whatever this is on this Nighthawk, that stuff. That creates tolerance issues that are unacceptable to my custom gun maker. They're unacceptable. So we've got to find common ground so that you guys get the durability that you need, and he gets the tolerances that he needs to make the accuracy and the precision of that pistol what it needs to be. Guns and guitars. Asking about push. Pushing, and it should have been pulling, but pull is harder to say. But that was me literally forcing myself to execute 100% trigger control, so that I did not shank one, but also to get on the trigger sooner. If I trigger prepped starting at full extension because I was more concerned about a fast draw and punching the gun forward, then the aggregate time could have gotten closer to going over 3.5 seconds. So if you start pulling the trigger back here and you're still pulling, bang, and it goes off, that is going to be a quicker shot than if you punch the gun and now you've got the sights lined up and you're like, fuck, I haven't pulled any of this trigger. Oh, bang. So you're either going to go over time, or you're going to feel that you're going to go over time, and you're going to give it all of the trigger at the same time, and then you're out of the black. You're out of the black. You're shanking. Don McCormick's asking about the screw issue with my CZ. Nah, the bull shadow's going back to CZ Customs. Probably. I have got it kind of high on my to-do list beginning of next week to contact Stuart at CZ Customs and ask him, if there is anything that I can do on this end to get that RMR to stop jumping around, and more than likely they're going to say, hey man, you need to send that slide back with the RMR so we can figure out what you did and what's going wrong with it, and try to make it right. Yeah, iron bonding is what we're looking at doing. Elephant 78. That is we're looking at some type of iron bond treatment. That stuff is all paint, and paint's going to give you between 1 thou and 3 thou. Preach, brother. I didn't know that. I mean, as soon as he said it, I was like, yeah, kind of makes sense. And so, am I working on any new drills? Nope. Man, I ain't been to the range in a while. Man, I've been working. And I got to get this shoot house class knocked out. And then I don't have a whole lot going on in January. So I'll probably get back to the range in January and think about some stuff, and then get out. Maybe get another video out. I'm thinking about a rifle. I'm thinking about a standing offhand rifle drill that'll be shot at 100. It'll be very similar to no-fill pistol. You'll do it under a clock over and over and over again to show the consistency. So I'm thinking maybe A-zone hit on a USPSA, standing offhand from 100 under 2 seconds. Might have to go under 3. We'll see. I'll fuck with the par times. Low ready, muzzle depressed, 45-degree angle. Or I could go fucking rifle Saul, like slung to. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do rifle Saul, A-zone hit, 100 yards, 2 seconds. There you go. There's your drill. All right, we're going on the rabbit hole of fucking coatings. Doesn't matter. We're at 125, and I want to cut this thing in about an hour anyway. This is bonus reel for you patron guys. I will mention this. I don't want to talk about anything that could hurt cops on. I don't want to talk about anything that could hurt cops in the on the open internets. All right, but come on, little motherfucker. There we go. But one of the things that I like about Omnivore, and it could be a detractor, I don't know. If somebody pulls up on the gun, the button no longer works. So if somebody looks at this, runs up to you and was like, oh, he's got an open top, and snatches your gun and is pulling on it, and then fucking realizes it's not coming out, and then goes for the fucking thumb device, haha, surprise cockbag, the fucking gun's locked in there. It's not coming out if you start the button push after you've started pulling to the rear. So you got to come in SLS style, hit the button, and then the gun comes right out. All right. So hit the button, gun comes right out. But if somebody is not practiced, what am I catching on? Okay, there. If somebody's not practiced, Omnivore holster defeat, it's very much like the SLS when it first came on the market. Like, holy fuck, what the hell is going on with this holster? Whereas I think ALS is very intuitive. I love that ALS keeps the gun from falling out of the holster and then goes away quickly. But ALS is not the patrolman fucking sprawl on the side of the road, end all fucking be all. I think everybody that has got way more bona fides to discuss that than I would probably agree that ALS only, just by random nature, you could hit that button and get it to come out, especially if you put an extended nubby on your patrol duty holster. So that was one of the things that Omnivore doesn't really, Blackhawk doesn't really talk about it. I don't think it's advertised out there very much, but I think that's a pretty fucking kick-ass feature of this thing, which means that you might need to do some more reps, because you might have an inclination to be getting a grip on the gun and then using the gun as leverage to push your thumb and get this thing out, and you're going to lock the thing's going to lock up. You're going to have to push the gun back in and release, then press the button and let it come out. And that human motion of return to neutral, depress button, pull back out is not a fucking motion that somebody that wants your gun is going to perform unless they knew it ahead of time. So food for thought. Brandon, really, dude? How good is that holster? I can't test it yet because I can't fucking mount it to my body. The fact that it uses small ass size 8 screws gives me concern. The fact that Blackhawk doesn't know to tell you to not put the duty fucking belt adapter from the Serpa onto their fucking Omnivore holster without additional screws that they don't offer, all of that is raising flags for me. That being said, the person who showed me this holster has trained under a lot of fucking people, and And it was his answer to this fucking CZ problem. Somebody else show me a CZ duty holster with retention for this pistol here. I can't fucking find one. I was going to have one made by a custom shop here in Washington that they're associated with Blade Tech. Blade Tech doesn't do custom work anymore, but they send their dudes to this guy. So basically, and I don't really like Blade Tech's retention all that much, they will make any gun light combo in duty thickness Kydex with Blade Tech fucking mounting holes and Blade Tech retention. So I was going to have a custom built holster made for this weapon until I found out about this thing. And, you know, time will tell. If I get a full 1/2-inch screw that goes through every one of these teeny weeny little threads and locks all the way into this motherfucker, that belt hanger is pretty fucking beefy. If anything's going to go, these 3 holes are going to rip out. So I would be curious to see if this thing could pass the same tuggy, wrenchy fucking bullshit that they do on Safariland attachment. That's my only concern, is that I cannot find from a safety perspective any reason. All the everything is in here. I don't know, and after it's been out for a couple of years, I can't find any negative reports of mechanical failure of that mechanism to work. So as long as it doesn't lock the gun up to where I can't get it out, and it doesn't tear off of the belt hanger, just from a fitment, just holding this like it is right now and making guns go in and out of it, I am extremely happy with this holster. That doesn't mean it's fucking duty ready. Time will tell. Once I can actually get the motherfucker mounted to my body and do some reps with it, I will have more information for you. Well, I don't know why you missed my earlier stream. Don't make your fucking problems my problems. All right. That's it. That's all I got. Go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Get off the internet. Fucking go take a walk or whatever. I'm not going to be like stupid, whatever. Oh, look at me, like the rest of the internet about fucking dieting. But I am obviously very, very unhappy with where I'm at. And so after Thanksgiving, I got my meds readjusted somewhat, and you know, started back on the road to dieting or whatever. So that's pretty cool. I'm down 10 pounds since Thanksgiving. So yay. But no feel good motivational weight loss posts or anything like that. But I've just seen enough guys that were struggling with their weight that just made the decision to do whatever. And I know that that's what happens every time I make a decision and start making different choices. Then I get different outcomes, of course. Does it suck? Yeah, it really sucks. But it is what it is. So that's it. I'm building a new Forerunner. I'm building my Forerunner out. I haven't eaten in days, and no, I'm kidding. But I haven't eaten. I haven't eaten anything good in days, and I'm playing with Black Hawk holsters. Fuck. Yeah. That's it. All right. Bye, guys.